Yeah.
Go Oaktown.
Let's play ball.
Look out, here we go.
Here it is.
This is going to get ugly here. It is.
Look at this. Skaters on Baseball doing it live November 3rd, 2024. We got Christian Cooper alongside myself, Schmitty, and we're talking Gold Gloves because we don't really have time for any of this parade stuck in traffic crap. I don't care anything about that stuff, but Matt Chapman and Patrick Bailey just announced as Gold Glove winners this year. They're throwing them out right now. So as we speak, we're getting the results. Pretty hyped on. I mean, Chapman was a no-brainer, but hype for Patrick Bailey. That's his first ever.
Absolutely, and well deserved. You know, I mean, his framing skills. I mean, he's in the same league as Buster when it comes to framing skills. And throwing guys out, I think leaves a little bit to be desired on the other side of the ball. But yeah, man, I think he earned it. I think he deserved it. You know, and it's going to be good to see what he does next year when he's I think a little better off-season training program, so he's got a little more stamina to make it through the year. I think he could get it again next year. I think it's totally possible.
I mean, he could be there for a while. The way his defensive metrics are and stuff, I mean, that's the thing. Everybody's talking about his hitting and stuff. It's like he's so good defensively that I think if he can just build up his stamina a little, and maybe I've said it before, but maybe just concentrate on batting left-handed or right-handed and not being a switch hitter, maybe just bat left-handed and take the reps away from all that and just, I don't know, get in the workout room, talk to Buster, talk to Bomel, see what catchers need to do. He's got a lot of good people with a lot of good advice right at his fingertips. So He's in the best place to be.
Yeah. And he's following in the footsteps of one of the greatest to ever play the position. So it's cool. Now we know Brandon Crawford got, I believe, 4 Gold Gloves his time in San Francisco. So let's see if Bailey can chase that down and maybe equal that. It would be cool. I mean, Willie Mays has 12. I don't think he's going to get anywhere near that. But
did he have 12?
He had 12. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm trying to think who else. You got to go way back a lot of years, but I think Ozzie Smith had 13 at shortstop.
What about Johnny LeMaster? How many did he have?
I'm gonna say probably maybe had a half of one. I don't know if you can get a half a Gold Glove, maybe silver glove.
Lee Master. Yeah, Yaz was he was a finalist. He was one of the 3. I don't see who they picked for right field yet, but I'm guessing it's not gonna be Yaz. He didn't seem like he had enough time out there. He's a great right fielder though.
Yeah, I mean, I think like we were talking about the platoon system probably hurts Yaz in that department where his defensive metrics are great, but because he's not playing every day or he's not getting, 150 games plus a season, it's just he's not going to measure up, and that's not his fault. That's the way the lineup was configured. So that'd be nice to see him get it, but I mean, seeing Bailey and Chapman, you go back and look at the highlight reels for this year for Chapman in San Francisco. Good Lord, he made some brilliant plays at third. I haven't seen that kind of play at third in San Francisco in a long time. I think Matt Williams might be the last guy that held it down over there like that, So.
Well, looking at these announced, I was like, it's a pipe dream. But Ezequiel Tovar at shortstop, wow. I don't know why. I mean, obviously, he's probably one of Colorado's main dudes. Like, we got to keep him. But that dude plays really well against us. He's phenomenal defensively, and he does pretty good offensively, too. There's been lots of talk about trading for Bo Bichette and these other people, but I wouldn't mind seeing Ezequiel Tovar. The Rockies could get like 5 guys and maybe help them climb the thing a little. We could do like a 10 for 1 or something.
Yeah, totally. I want to look up just real quick what his contract and all that stuff is.
But the other guy was Bobby Witt Jr. He got the shortstop Gold Glove in the American League. He's probably going to be there for a little while. You know, he's a runner for MVP if you don't have these robots in that league. But Giant Sport Talk Live. Didn't Tovar just get extended? Look at this. Charlie Craig in the house. Logged in. Be right back. I think Tovar did get extended, but like I said, let's trade VR, Wisely, Meckler. We got a lot of guys we could just dump into Colorado that would be 20 home run hitters right away.
Ship them Mason Black or something, you know.
Think how many home runs VR would hit in Colorado. Oh, he'd be great out there.
So listen, Ezequiel Tovar is only 23 years old. And he's not even 23 yet. He's 22 currently.
All right, let's get him.
His career, he's not a lot of numbers, pretty small sample size, but he's so far a career 260 hitter. Hit slightly better than that this year at 269. Had 78 RBIs, had 6 stolen bases, so he ran a little bit, you know. I mean, I wouldn't be against it, you know. And
hey, anything's an upgrade right now. We need someone that's not named Ha-Seong Kim to be the shortstop starting opening day next year. I've been seeing this guy's name too much, and I was looking at his statistics, and you can't really see defensive statistics. Like, you get these metrics, this and that, but like whatever. But like offensively, this guy is not any better than the guys we have.
Right.
Is he that much better defensively? Maybe. I don't know. But here's the thing. I keep reading about how Adames is a good fit for the Dodgers, which means we'll get priced out. How are we getting priced out by a team that's paying $1 billion for 2 players? Shouldn't we be like, oh, you want them? We're going to price you out.
Yeah, we should be. I mean, that's what I've been saying the past couple of weeks is like, look, the Giants are going to have to overpay. That's just built in now because the prestige is kind of faded. It's been 10 years since the last title.
And batters don't want to like, oh, I'm going to lose 4 home runs a season playing there, whatever. You know, it's like, okay.
Yeah. Oracle is, pitchers would love to come to San Francisco, especially the broke down ones that Farhan wanted to sign. It's like rehab park, right? It's like me and Stropel going to Duarte. It's like rehab park. So that's all great on the pitching side, but on the hitting side, it's like, especially guys who hit a lot of home runs, you know, where they're playing now. Like, let's take a Yankees player, for example, a guy who's socking 30 plus a year, short porch, man, both sides, actually, left field,
we saw
short
that.
too.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, you come to San Francisco and your home run numbers are going to drop off. I mean, that's not attractive, but then it becomes about the money and the team and what they're building. And so I think, you know, we talked about it a lot. I think that 2025 is going to be sort of a development year, but they got to bring in at least 2 high profile, either free agents or on trades. They got to bring in some legit top tier starter for the rotation, for one thing. They're going to need that because Snell's gone. And, it's cracking wise in Seattle, huh? So yeah, and just they need a bat, man. They need a guy, either a spray hitter or a power to the gaps guy. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing, you know, the World Series is over. It's off season time. We got the general manager announced, and the GM meetings start the same day as the election, which is day after tomorrow. And Snell has opted out. I don't think that means 100% that Snell's off the table for the Giants. I don't think that the Giants could have said before he opted out, hey, we'll give you 5 years at this much. No, Snell and Boris want to hear what everyone is offering him. So whether he's coming back or not, he's testing the market, which means he's going to hear what other teams think he's valued at.
Yep.
So the Giants still are in it, I believe, But the more I look at this and the more I think about it, I go back to last offseason and I'm a Corbin Burns guy. I'm like, you know what? I love having the lefty Snell, but he's a little erratic every year. We never know exactly when he's going to throw his no-hitter, but he's going to throw a no-hitter. But, you know, there's going to be some games where he comes out in the second inning. And Corbin Burns matches Logan Webb for innings, you know, pitched in a season. He'll get you close to 200 innings a year. And that's the kind of guy we need to help our bullpen, because we got a bunch of young guys otherwise, you know, whether it's Landon Roop, Harrison, Birdsong, whoever. These guys need help nurturing. They're building up still. They're going to probably throw 5-6 innings max, you know. So our bullpen's going to get taxed with that. But if we have two horses, then we're looking a lot better than if we have Snell in there, who could also be a 4 or 5 inning guy a lot of times. And that could really deplete the thing. I'm just like, here's my biggest question. I'm reading a lot. I'm listening a lot. I'm thinking a lot. And my question is, it's really close for me. Do we go all out after like Corbin Burns, or do we go all out after a number 3/number 4 batter? Because I think those needs are almost, you know, if it's first and second, it's very slim. They're both about the same to me, but being the Giants, I kind of lean towards pitching just because that's what we're probably more likely to get. We could probably get any pitcher if we put the right deal, but we've proven we can't get any bat if we put the right deal. So I think go after Corbin Burns immediately, set the precedent, and then let's talk to Adames. Let's talk to Bo Bichette. Let's talk to these shortstops. We need a middle infielder big time. Do we want Santander? Do we want to even kick tires on Soto? Like, what are we going to do we need a player that was not on our team last year to be hitting third or fourth this year. That's my goal.
Yeah. Well, first, let me take the first thing. So the argument for Corbin Burns, I think, is you're making a valid argument for the innings, because look, Logan Webb right now is the only guy on the staff that can give him 200 innings. And you don't want a guy to go 200 innings because you don't want his arm to burn up. So if we can bring in, you know, a Corbin Burns, who's also a workhorse, then it takes a little bit of weight off Webb and you're still getting the bullpen relief that you need, right? So I think that's probably the number one thing. Talking about Snell, I don't think Snell is going to have the same type of off crap injury riddled year that he had this year, next year, because he's going to be signed on long before he did last year. And he's going to get his full ramp up workout in. So opening day, I mean, he's traditionally a slow starter, but he's not going to be nearly as much of a slow starter as he was last year. Right.
Yeah.
I think the Giants are slimly in on him. I'd be interested to see if they try to talk to Garrett Cole, since he opted out of his contract. Now his option was $33.6 million, I believe. Snell's option was 28.5. So Garrett Cole's definitely a little more pricey, right?
But the Yankees have till 5:00 tomorrow to just add a year to his contract, and that's done. And I think that's what they're going to do. I don't see the Yankees letting Soto and Cole go. That'd be insane.
Yeah. I don't see it. So I think that of the two, you got to think about who wants to stay there more as well. And I think Soto is kind of more cut out for wanting to stay in New York. Whereas I think Garrett Cole, after that one inning in that one game, could just be over the pinstripes. He could just be like, man, I mean, you saw his face when he came out of the game, right? Like, that was not the look of a happy man.
Well, they let him hang. That was pretty brutal how Boone didn't come out and just give him a rest either. Like he was gassed. Like, get out there and give him a little TO. I was reading these comments here, and Charlie's got a really good point. Obviously, a Mariners fan, and he knows Robbie Ray well. What do we expect from Robbie Ray this year? And I think that's a huge, huge thing, because if Robbie Ray comes back and he's even close to like what Robbie Ray can be and not hurt and he pitches a full season, that's a huge third pitcher in the rotation. Now we saw glimpses of him last year throwing some amazing pitches, but we also saw him get hurt right away, and he's just been kind of that guy for the last bunch of years. So here's the thing that I would really hope the Giants do, because what they haven't done in the past like 5 years, or we can call it the Farhan era, is they haven't thrown money at somebody that's a for sure thing. I'm sick of throwing, and this is why I don't want Blake Snell too, and this is why I want Corbin Burns. I just want a guy that, like, unless there's this weird freak thing that happens, this guy is good and he's on our team.
Right.
Not like he was good and he just had labrum surgery. We don't know if he'll hit again, but he can glove, like, no. We need a dude that's like, this dude's going to hit 30 bombs. He hits 30 bombs every year. He's hitting it, and he's healthy as fuck. He steals 30 bases. He's fast. Like, this is our guy. This guy throws 200 innings. He strikes out fucking 200 people. Like, blah, blah, blah. Okay, not like, well, we went down to the thrift store last night and I saw these Dickies that have like no buttons, but if we find a tailor, they'll really fit well. It's like, no, get the fuck out of here.
Oh, man. I see Eric comment. Yes, Cole was partly to blame for that fifth inning. I absolutely agree with that. But yeah, Farhan's whole MO was like, let's get these guys. They're like, it's like buying a fixer-upper house, right? And then you discover the plumbing's totally shot and the sewage has been emptying into the crawl space underneath for the last 20 years. And now it's, $80,000 to repair, whatever. As far as Robbie Ray is concerned, like, look, his first start, it was like, yes, this is the guy we wanted. His second start was like, yeah, this is kind of the guy we wanted. And by his third start, we were like, why? And I mean, I think for me, the iconic guy who represents that thing with Farhan the most is Luke Jackson. Luke Jackson was signed. Luke Jackson couldn't pitch for most of an entire season, if not all the entire season. And then he was just lousy, I mean, he was supposed to be this badass high leverage late innings guy. And we saw it, one time in 8 outings, like 1 out of every 8 outings, he actually had some real stuff. And the rest of the time he was a train wreck. So like, that's, I'm hoping that this Manassian guy has a clear view of that, because he's been in the organization and he realizes that's wrong. It's wrong,
What do you think about Manasseh? And now that we're talking about that, there was an interesting point. Somebody put it in the comments, and I was looking at it too. Buster Posey's an interesting guy, right? He says things out loud that sometimes you think like maybe you just should have kept that to yourself and inside the room. But he said, this guy was never even on my radar. And to me, that's kind of like, dude, this isn't just like roll the dice. This is like your first major move as the guy. And so it's like, I guess in a way he was saying like how surprised he was by how awesome he was. But at the same time, I'm kind of thinking like a lot of the naysayers are like, you just kept within the organization. You didn't bring in some new attitude or some new. And I see both sides, but I also see that Buster wanted a guy that was, able to do drafting and be a scout. And then also that he's made some, he's signed these guys on the dotted line, whether it was Hader or some of the Brewers. I forget some of those guys, but then I'm like, guess who else was a Brewer? Corbin Burns.
Right.
Guess who else was a Brewer? Adames. Like, right. I don't know. I don't know if any of that has a connection, but like, it's interesting.
I see the value in him coming from a scouting background. And I also see the value in him being promoted from within the organization, because, he's damn well familiar with the prospects and what's going on in SAC, right? And the AA guys and all that. So I think that maybe it's not the big splashy thing that we wanted to see with like a Billy Owens. But I do think this could be a 1-year deal. This could be sort of a bridging the gap, and we'll find out real fast whether it's kind of like one of those failing upward sort of situations where the guy's way out of his depth as a GM. Also, we'll probably find out pretty quickly whether this was a buster move or whether this was an ownership move, because maybe they want to take the money they would have spent on a GM and apply it to players. And if that's the case, I'm good with that. I don't know what GMs get nowadays, high profile ones. I imagine they're not cheap, right?
Yeah.
So the cost of a bullpen guy or the cost of a really quality backup catcher, maybe a little more, utility infielder, like, okay, I see that. So yeah, don't know.
And like the other thing is they're going to the GM meetings this week. So I'm stoked that they have somebody in place to start this whole journey. And also there's other positions that are still about to be filled, whether it's a Brian Sabian that could just be like a little guy in your ear that's kind of an advisor type guy, whether it's there's a lot of people that could still be added into this mix. So we don't know what else is coming. We saw Justin Veal leaving, who I think it was time. Like, if you can't bunt with any of your players, then the hitting coach has some issues. And people are making fun of Pat Burrell because he struck out a lot. And whoa, how is that guy going to teach people not to strike out? I'm reading all kinds of funny stuff on the interweb, but yeah, it's going to be interesting what gets done. And I hope some things get done sooner than later so that we're not just waiting and waiting. Last year was really rough on my psyche. We need to keep baseball fresh in our brains, which means at least once a month, a nice little gem. Like, we got Buster, a month later, we got a GM. This week or next week, let's get a Corbin Burns or something, or like add a Will Clark into the, maybe Will Clark is a hitting coach just at home or something. I don't know. Like, let's do something that's just like, ooh, okay, and keep the fire burning, add in a few little more cinders, and pretty soon the barbecue's all fired up and Barry Bonds is in town. Let's go.
There you go. Dude, I love Will Clark's philosophy about hitting and how it's like, you're going to war, man. You're out there to slit people's throats. This is not a game. Like, get serious. But I think he may be a little too heavy-handed for some of this younger generation of players that, guys that weren't treated that way coming up, and all of a sudden they got crusty old Will giving him the nushler and like just going, "You suck, man. Can't you hit? What's wrong with you?" So it'll be interesting. But yeah, the coaching changes, and then I would love to see them make whatever major move they're going to make, because there's going to be at least one in the offseason. I want to see it get done before the winter meetings, because you and I both know last year, those winter meetings, every day you're scanning. Nothing was happening, man. It was boring, right?
A lot of it had to do with Shohei, though. I mean, everybody was waiting till Shohei signed before anybody else wanted to do anything. They were setting this thing, and then all his guys just, I don't know. It was really bad. So I'm thinking it's gonna be the opposite this year. Snell's gonna sign before New Year's for sure. Like, these guys that didn't sign till late last year, they want to sign quick this year. So whether they're testing the waters or not, I think they're ready to sign as soon as they figure out what kind of deal they can make. It's yeah, I'm with you, man. We need some quickness.
Yeah, and I do think there were a lot of teams that were on the cusp of doing something bigger in the postseason last year. It just didn't quite have it, like Baltimore, right? Cincinnati. I mean, these are teams that are like one stud away from making a deep run, and I think that the competition for the few quality free agents that are out there this year, guys are going to get snapped up, and people are going to be making big offers just right out of the gate, because I think they want to seal it up and know where they're going to be when the season starts, right? And I'd like to see the Giants be on that page. So we need to talk about first base, because this one is driving me nuts, man. I'm a big Lamont Wade fan, but I know that he just has a hard time staying healthy, right? And so Eldridge is not ready, and you can't.
Christian Walker, come on down.
Yeah, see, I'm split on either Christian Walker or Goldschmidt. You know, for some reason, I think Goldschmidt would be a good fit if they could sign him to a 1-year deal, right?
Goldschmidt's going to be more DH, though, I think, at this stage, right?
Well, that's the thing. If you can sign Goldschmidt and you keep Lamont Wade around since he's in arbitration, those guys can kind of tag team that spot. It's a lefty and a righty, so if Melvin wants to play matchups at first base, he can do that, right? And I kind of feel like, oh man, I don't know. That's why I asked. It's like Christian Walker sounds good too, you know.
There's two trains of thoughts for me, and thanks guys for tuning in. Carter, I see you. Giant Sports Talk, Charlie. One of the things that I'm thinking is, how serious are we about 2025? Are we going all in? Are we actually kicking tires on Soto? Are we trying to get a competitive team, right? If we're not, then it does make sense maybe to bring Bryce Eldridge up and see what he can do and all that stuff. If we aren't, I don't want to see Bryce Eldridge up really, unless it's like we're just rebuilding. Like there's no pressure on the kid kind of vibe, in other words, because this guy's not ready. Like you can't just bring up a guy and blow it again. Like this guy's got a lot of talent, a lot of potential, but let's let him play AAA for a little while. He played 10 days? Like, come on. So my point being there is I'm sick of hearing about, we don't want Vladdy, we don't want Walker, we don't want any of these great first basemen because we already have Eldridge. We don't know what Eldridge is going to bring. We know what those guys are going to bring. And that's the new mentality I want to see. I want to see, we got Vladdy. We'll figure out what we're going to do with Vladdy and Eldridge if they're both great. That's a great problem to have. I don't want to say no Vladdy because we got a guy that might be good. Like, no. So I just want to see these guys bring in dudes that are like upgrades. Fitzgerald's an easy defensive upgrade, whether it be shortstop or second base. He wasn't that good defensively. Right field is going to be an issue, and first base is going to be an issue. DH might be an issue. Those are the areas where I think they're going to be able to grow. Maybe not all of them, but at least 2 of the 4.
Yeah.
So see what they do. But first base, it is interesting. I was looking at this too. How many other teams platoon at first base? Like first base shouldn't be a platoon position. This is like outfield. You need a good offensive guy at first base. Sometimes you'll sacrifice a little defense at first base for the bat. Shortstop's the opposite for me. You don't want to sacrifice any defense at shortstop, and sometimes you'll sacrifice a little bat for the defense. But first base, you can get away with it. Lamont's a great player, great guy, all that, but he gets hurt a lot. And if they're not going to pitch him or let him hit against left-handed pitching, which I don't understand why, because he can hit left-handed pitching, then it's just like, then it's time to like figure that out. They got to like get somebody that they can put in there, kind of like Chapman at third, that he's just going to be in there 140 games a year or something.
Yeah. Well, and I think, I don't know if you noticed, but Bob Melvin did let Lamont hit against left-handers this year, which was totally opposed to what Kapler did, which was like, I'm going to bench Lamont every time we're facing a left-handed pitcher, right?
Right.
And he was thriving. I mean, he was leading the league in on base. His walk totals were extremely high, great batting average. It's that health issue. You know, that's the one drawback to that guy. And, you know, he really learned how to play a solid first base. I saw him snare some balls last year that they were hard to get to, and he had good range. So, I've always liked the guy, and I feel like he kind of got a raw deal being platooned into this nonsense. And yeah, it's true. The first season he was with the Giants, he didn't hit left-handers very well, but he pulled it together, you know, and I just think he wasn't given a long enough leash. So, yeah, Christian Walker, I mean, that's an upgrade, I think, a little bit. I think Goldschmidt, even in his advanced age, could be an upgrade. And maybe first base is just one of those things where it's like, you know, we have bigger needs for a starting pitcher. We have bigger needs for a DH, and let's get that for this year and then think about next year when next year rolls around. Because if Eldridge is truly the real deal, then 2026 he should be the starting and everyday first baseman, right? I think we agree on that. I mean, he's in the fall league now. He's tearing it up pretty good in the Arizona Fall League, and we'll see. Definitely, he's going to be a roster invitee in spring training, right? And we'll get to see. But I think they've rushed too many prospects to the majors too many times in the recent past, and sometimes these guys end up looking like they're not that good, but it's because they've been rushed there and they haven't been given a long enough leash and enough playing time each time they've been brought up to show who they really are. And I think that's really frustrating, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
And the elephant in the room still is Marco Luciano. Like, what are they going to do with this guy? What are their plans for him? Because as far as I can see, they have to try to trade him. He's not a part of anything that makes sense moving forward with the Giants. Like, if they're going to put him in the outfield, which position is he going to play? If they're going to play him DH, then he's a young kid DHing. I don't think that's going to work. He's already kind of not been able to play shortstop. Maybe he plays second base. They give him one more opportunity. I don't know, but it's just, I just feel like, I don't know, Luciano's, maybe he's going to be the Joey Bart this year that like could go somewhere else and get a fresh start and maybe have a better career somewhere else. And we've kind of just not had the best chemistry with him or not given him the best route or whatever. But I think they got to figure that one out. That's going to be really interesting to me how he's handled.
Yeah. And it would have been, I don't know, it would have been easier to trade him before he made a mess out of his glove work on the field this year. I mean, really, it was kind of embarrassing.
It was crazy how every time almost.
Dude, basic, fundamental. I mean, it looked like that inning in the World Series.
No, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Luciano's one of those guys. I've pretty much given up on him, and I know that sounds like a cruel thing to say, but I just haven't seen anything out of him. They say he's this great power hitter. What did he really do? He didn't do much at the plate. And then those defensive miscues were like, good God, man, are you not paying attention? And okay, think about it. They want to convert him to an outfielder. He's big and slow. He's not fast. So how is he going to take routes to balls that, like, with Jung-Hoo Lee out there, the hustle and the speed that guy's got, he can run it down. Ramos, he's got wheels a little bit, Yaz, he can move, and even Matos, I think, is going to be better to the ball than somebody like Luciano out there.
No, so much better. Yeah.
And all this talk of Meckler, like, working out and getting reps at second base, like, why is he even in the conversation?
Yeah.
So I want to see next year. I mean, first base is obviously a question mark. We're not sure what we're going to get. I want to see Fitzgerald playing every day at second base. I want to see an everyday shortstop that they go out and get. Chapman's locked in, right? We got the outfield mostly locked in, and it's just that's what I want to see. But I want to see Fitzgerald be an everyday guy at second base. And I have a feeling that the hitting this year wasn't a mirage. I think he's going to be a power guy next year. I think he's going to get a lot done for the Giants. And dude, he runs 1,000 miles an hour. I mean, he's really fast. So he's a good asset to have, especially the way the game's changed, right? Where the value of speed, the value of stolen bases has gone way up in the way the game's played now. Every team's trying to get those speed demons, and look at the teams that, they put pressure on pitchers with that all the time. Listen, if Shohei Ohtani can steal 54 bases in a season, come on, man, you got to stay up with that. He's a big lumbering oaf.
He's not going to steal that many bases once he gets his ass off the fucking bench in between innings. The guy,
True.
he didn't do anything. The thing that I saw in the World Series that was the hugest point for me was Aaron Judge crashing into the fence, making a catch and going like, oh my God, like, is he okay? Shohei does not have that ever the entire season. All he does is come up and try not to get hit. Like, he basically is just swinging the bat, and that's it. And that has to change if you're going to be the so-called best player in baseball. I don't understand how people can even buy into that at all. It's like, He's great. Yeah, 50-50, great. But like no defense, not and then like, okay, he's gonna pitch next year, and then the Dodgers are already talking about getting a 6-man rotation so that they can save him. It's like there's a lot of weird Shohei rules going on, not to mention the deferring his whole money thing. It's just a bad taste. I'm not a fan. I never really was a fan when he was an Angel, and I definitely am not a fan as a Yankee.
Right.
I mean, as a Dodger.
Well, I will say this: there was some good to come out of that Dodgers Yankees World Series. The good being negative things. The league wanted it, the advertisers wanted it, the Dodgers and Yankees. They wanted to tell this whole fable about the history of whatever. It's like, when's the last time those two teams faced each other in a World Series? You got to go back pretty far, right? And what they were touting this big Judge versus Ohtani thing. Neither of those dudes showed up in the World Series, right? They didn't. It was all the other guys, the role players, that really did. I mean, Freddie Freeman, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's true.
Like, I hate Freddie Freeman, but dude, 4 consecutive games with a home run. What? Come on, the guy was killing it. He has broken ankle and all. He's running the bases pretty good. I think they tried to make that sound worse than it was, right? But so I think the good to come out of that is that it was totally overblown. It was one of the more boring World Series. The Dodgers basically just dominated the Yankees all the way through because the Yankees can't run the bases and they can't play defense. And it was totally exposed. So now that leaves us with next year where we don't even remotely want to see either of those teams in the World Series, and we want to see other teams get there. So who makes the moves, who gets the free agents, who does all that? I mean, listen, Ohtani's never going to be a top line starting pitcher again. He's not going to be throwing 100 like he used to. And I highly doubt that he's even going to stick as a rotation piece in LA. I really don't see it. I think that they're thinking like, well, if he has to play the field and not just be a DH, we'll teach him how to play first base. That's the only thing that I can conceive of happening. So, and I hope I'm not wrong. I hope that it doesn't work out because I'm just tired of the Dodgers already, man. I'm glad the World Series only went 5 games because that meant there weren't, 2 other games I'd have to watch the Dodgers play.
Exactly. And the more I thought about it, because I was just holding out, I don't want the Dodgers to win. And after a while, I was like, I don't want to watch any more of this crap. Like these games weren't that good. To me, the World Series was the Padres and the Dodgers. Those first few games were so exciting and it was just great, offensively, pitching, everything, a lot of good defense. It was just like, I don't know. The Yankees, that 5th inning was an example of just like, what is going on? These are the 2 best teams. Yeah. But the bottom line for me was the very next day, Buster Posey's announcing a GM. It's like, yeah, I don't care about the Dodgers and Yankees. Right. Let's talk about what we're going to do. Let's get back into Giants baseball because, I think there's a lot that we can do. I think our expectations need to be tempered. I don't know that we're going to just all of a sudden get Soto, Vladdy, and Corbin Burns and Devin. It's not going to be like this. Oh, we got Posey now. We're going to get all the best players. It's going to be a work in progress still. But I think just having the attitude and the mindset changed a little bit and seeing somebody in there that's actually a proven winner and he kind of understands the day to day. He's also a great catcher that can help Patrick Bailey and Bomel. And there's just a lot of things that I think are going to improve in the next, month or 2 even. Like, who knows? Like, I'm excited to see who our like assistant hitting coaches are going to be. Like, who's going to be the base coaches? Like, there's a bunch of new things that are about to happen. But I think to me, we have to get Corbin Burns. Like, if we're not going to get Blake Snell, we have to get Corbin Burns. And if for some reason we can't get Corbin Burns, we have to get Fried. Like, it has to be one of those 3 guys. We need that. And then we obviously need to either make a trade or sign Adames, or I don't know what they're going to do. But it sounds to me like they think that they're going to be making some trades, which is really exciting because there's not a lot of trade history here. It doesn't happen too often that there's like some major blockbuster trades that we're involved with anyway. I think it'll be interesting to see what kind of moves can be made there. And then just, Jung-Hoo Lee playing a whole healthy year. There's a lot of things that I think kind of went the wrong way for us last year that hopefully are not like that again this year. And then with a couple of tweaks, we could have been easily a 500 team, if not a little bit better. So with added like one or two key players, maybe we get a 90 win season, and then we're, like you say, let's kind of look at 2026, but 2025 is going to be an improvement. We're not just like going to get worse. We're going to get a little bit better, but it's not maybe the chosen land quite yet. But I'm excited to see the youth too. I mean, Jung-Hoo Lee, a full season, that's just going to be great. If Grant McCrae can figure out how to not strike out so much, his speed and his defensive outfield ability is phenomenal. Like, to me, if they could really work hard on getting McCrae to be a decent or average hitter, to have McCrae, Jung-Hoo Lee, and Ramos in the outfield, I mean, that is defensively top tier right there. And then you got the Gold Glove catcher and Gold Glove third baseman. We need a Gold Glove shortstop to be inserted. I mean, we're doing, and with the pitching staff we have, we've got a lot of experience for those young guys, so that if someone gets hurt, we can easily bring up a Black, a Birdsong, or whoever's not in the rotation. There's a lot of things that we did last year that can help us futuristically that might not have looked so great last year. But I mean, you know me, I'm the forever optimist, and I no matter what I do, I wake up bleeding black and orange, and I go to bed bleeding black and orange, and it's going to be the way it is till the day I die. So give us a shitty team or a good team, I'm all in no matter what.
Yeah, as it should be. And I think there's already been one big improvement is that Farhan's gone, right? Like, it can't get much worse than that. So I think that's the first domino to fall, and they just need to keep rolling. And you mentioned Grant McCrae. If they could get Grant McCrae to be an average hitter, that guy can bunt for hits because of his speed. I mean, he could get infield hits all day long, and until they get wise to it and they start, really coming in. And then if they can get him to be, enough of a serviceable hitter, these guys draw way in on the infield. He can just dink one right out into the grass. So I think there's a lot of things to be optimistic about with the young guys, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see Birdsong come out with a full training regimen for a major league season. I think that guy showed some tremendous stuff, and he definitely is a craft pitcher. He has a lot of different pitches. He varies his speeds. He paints. I mean, I'm really excited to see what he's got coming out this year. So yeah, I mean, it's not like we're going, oh, well, let's just do something to kind of stop the bleeding for 1 year. I think whatever they do is going to be an upgrade this year. And I think that, it's really going to boil down to just the individual performances of the guys that they insert and how they work together as a team. That's basically it. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, what's today? Sunday. Day after tomorrow, we got the first day of the GM meetings. I think that's going to be setting a lot of groundwork. Probably not maybe not too many major moves or anything, but like people are going to be kicking tires. People are going to be throwing like so how is this Bichette guy in your mind? Do you guys want to trade him, or are you guys holding on to him? They're going to start feeling these things out and then be like, you'd be down to get rid of Vladdy? Well, we've got some guys, like, let's talk, or like, no, Vladdy's off the table. Like, so I think a lot of that stuff happens in these early meetings, and then it's go time. It's like, okay, how many meetings? 23, 4, 5, 5, sold to the Giants over there in right field. We got Juan Soto. No, we don't.
Here's the question. You think Buster Posey's going to be at the GM meetings?
100%.
Yeah, that's what I think
He
too.
already said he was going to be there before they hired a GM. So I think that maybe was to take off some of the pressure. Like, I might not hire a GM before the meetings because I'm going, but
yeah,
I think he's definitely going. I think these are the type of things that look, when Buster Posey walks into a room, even Ken Griffey gets a smile on his face. Like, people respect the shit out of that guy. He's a
right,
star. So to
right.
have him at these big profile meetings is super important for the organization. And then having him, live in the Bay Area and talk it up and, hey, I live here. I love it. Like, the ballpark's great. I work there every day. Like, those things go a long way with when you're talking. Matt Chapman, same thing. Like, dude, I just re-signed here. I fucking love it. Like, those things, that's the other thing. Like, was it all talk, or are we going to see who's been texting Matt Chapman that, when he signed that contract, he's like, I already got people texting me saying, now that you're there, I might want to go. I was like, okay, let's see who these guys are. Let's play
Yeah, I'm very curious about that, and I
it.
feel like, I mean, look, let's go back in time to 2002, and then sort of skip over a few years to 2010, 2012. The fan base, the energy at the ballpark every night, insane, right? And I don't think there's any major league player who's played there at the peak, the zenith of the Giants dynasty of those 3 wins in 5 years, who wouldn't say like, man, I want to come play for these people in this place with
Yeah.
this vibe. I mean, the vibe of those years, and the in-between years were not bad, man, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then 2016, they almost did it again. So, I mean, that energy and how many consecutive sellouts they had, like, I can't imagine that any major league player coming into that environment every single day and every single night and playing in front of those rabid fans, you'd be stoked, right? You'd feel like, yeah, man, I want to keep making these people happy. And so I think they can restore some of that by bringing in some good guys and having a good season next year. Maybe they start to rebuild that tide that was flowing at that time, and I think that'll go a long way in attracting people to come play, right? Maybe more than just about anything else. So
I think it's going to be a domino effect for sure. I think like it's hard to break that initial thing, but once you start getting a couple people, it's like, oh, I could be a part of this instead of being it. Like, I don't want to be the whole, I got to lift this whole thing. But if I got like a couple guys in there and I already have a relationship with this guy, like I said, I think pitching is a no-brainer. It's too easy. Like, we've had Blake Snell here, we've got Webb, we've got Lincecum, Bumgarner, all the history we have with pitching. Like, that's a no-brainer. So to me, you got to trade for the bat until you start getting a couple pieces, and then you could probably bring a free agent because you've got like, hey, you're not going to be the whole offense. These guys are going to protect you. You're right in the middle of these, So that's what we're hoping to do. And with the homegrown, you got Eldridge, Ramos, some of these guys that in a year to 2 years, 3 years, all of a sudden we find out, are these guys an average player or are these guys like an all-star? Like, if Ramos was an all-star last year and he's an all-star next year, and then the year after that, it's like he's only getting better, we're stoked. I mean, he
yeah,
looks like a full-on player,
he does.
He's like a linebacker with speed. He's got a cannon of an arm. He can hit the hell out of the ball. He's got great attitude. Like, I love Elliot Ramos.
Yeah, and remember, he started the year in Sacramento last year.
Yeah,
So it was like he was sort of an afterthought. But then when Lee got hurt, it was like they had to pick one of those guys to be an everyday guy. And dude, that particular time when he came up, he stuck and he was great. So we need more of that out of him. I don't see any reason to doubt that he's going to be every bit as good as he was and then some last year.
Oh yeah, me too.
We'll see. I'm excited. I just change is good, especially the kind of change the Giants are going through. And yeah, we can't expect it all to just turn to gold overnight, but it's definitely going to be an improvement. So we'll see what happens. We should should reconvene soon and talk about some other stuff and what we project might be happening at the GM meetings and all that. So
yeah, we will. And for sure, if there's any news, like, let's hop back on. I mean, who knows what will happen this week, but if anything were to happen, let's talk about it. And then also, let's maybe get Charlie or somebody from another team on and hear what they're thinking, because I'm down to trade the Mariners Murphy back for Arizona or something like that. We could do that all day, you know. That'd be good though. But yeah, no, it's cool having the input of, like, I love looking over and seeing people commenting and stuff. This is a new platform for us, and I really think it's been really fun having just like the interaction with like comments, and then also seeing like what other people are kind of looking for their teams, because we're, you know, like I said, we're Giants fans, true, but we love baseball too, so we're not afraid to talk about the Mariners or the Orioles and anybody else down the line. I think this next month is going to be a little, you know, it's going to be hard, but we'll get there. And then once we can sniff February, I think we're good, you know, like then we're back to spring training and you start hearing about, like, you know, lineups and who's actually playing well. And God damn, did you see Landon Roop's cutter and like all that stuff? I just get so hyped when you start hearing about things that are actually really going down. So
yeah, I gotta tune into a little Marty Lurie, because he tends to have his finger on the pulse pretty well in the off season in terms of like the young kids coming up and what he's hearing. Because I think he's such a great baseball mind. They actually confide in him more than like a Baggerly or a Pavlovich, right?
Love Marty.
So cool. Well, right on, Schmitty.
Yeah, like we gotta say, congratulations, Matt Chapman and Patrick Bailey. Both were awarded Gold Gloves 2024, the first time that two players on the Giants have got it in the same season since 2016. So it's been 8 years. There's more to come, guys, because I think Jung-Hoo Lee is going to be in there next year. Like we're going to have a stronger defensive team. Like 2 Gold Gloves, pretty good. 3, 4, 5, even better. So that's some of the targeting along with the pitching and hitting. So Thanks for joining us. We'll be back as soon as we're feeling chatty, which could be any moment.
Yep. Right on. We'll call it a night.
All right. Take care, everybody. And we are out of here.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Skaters on Baseball. If you liked what you heard, please spread the word, give us a good review, or hell, blow us up on your social media if you're down. Follow us at Skates on Base on Instagram for baseball news and other fun stuff. We love comments and listener participation, so bring it with an audio clip or an email. You can email us at skatersonbase@gmail.com. We're everywhere you get your podcasts, and we'll be here all season long.
Let's go, San Francisco. Let's go, Giants.
I'm excited to give everything that I have for these next 6 seasons and, see where it takes us.
They can't say it anymore, Complete game, shutout, no hitter, leave me alone.
Adios! Pelota!
See you soon. Thank you.
And I am forever a Giant.